starting off, we have a very, I would say, contained, powerful sound. It's not wildly loud, not hurting my ears, but it still has like such a healthy, powerful sound. I don't hear it's not, up close, it's not really hurting my ear. I just hear a nice healthy sound, and I hear really good contact with the bow and the string. I'm able to hear that this close. And some instruments, the sound is a bit farther away. Some instruments it's too powerful, but there's a nice balance of hearing what is going out into the room and hearing what is right next to your ear. So far, I like to use that piece to see if there's a wolf tone on the G string, and I did not hear any wolf tone up in Sol G. Again, like I said earlier, overall, it just has that nice, contained yet powerful sound. It feels very easy to slide up and down the instrument and to move around. The neck is a tiny bit thicker than what I personally am used to, but I think this is a pretty standard violin neck size. If that helps with the hand feel. It's pretty standard, not terribly thick. My personal instrument has a slightly thinner neck, but this particular size is pretty standard for an instrument, and so it feels perfectly fine to use, coming from my smaller neck to this itty bitty tiny bit larger one. I'm going to take a moment to, I was doing a dynamics test, and I think I don't have enough rosin at the tip of my bow, so I'm going to re-rosin, but making sure to have enough rosin on your bow will really help, especially at these pulls here. It'll help a little bit more with dynamic changes. So I'm just going to add a little bit of rosin because the sound dipped down way more than I wanted it to, and I wanted to make sure it's a me problem and not an instrument thing. So I'm pretty sure it's a bow problem. There we go, nice and rosined. Okay, let's try that again. Yeah, the rosin really helped there. So if you don't have enough rosin on your bow, then there's not enough stickiness in the hair to be able to grab onto the string and to buzz the string. So it's like just taking, I don't know, like sewing thread or just, you know, really, really smooth hair and just gliding it over, and it'll just create no sound. And so I didn't have quite enough rosin at the tip of my bow. And so when I got to the tip, it was like barely creating or generating any sound. So that really helps. Again, I can just continually comment on like how nice and powerful this instrument is. It really gets just that, it really pushes out a lot of sound without it sounding forced, which is really nice. It was very easy to play double stops. I like how low the strings are on this instrument. I actually had my luthier shave my bridge down so that my strings sat lower. So I like how low these strings are because it does make playing the double stops a little bit easier. I don't have to like push my strings down so much. And so it's more of placing my fingers down rather than squeezing or pushing. So I do like the action on this instrument. The action's nice and low. And so action means essentially how much, I want to say, weight you're putting into your fingers in order to push the string down. And so if there's low action, it means that the strings are a little bit lower, so I'm using less effort to push the string down. If there's high action, then that means the strings are a bit higher, and so I have to work a little bit harder to get the string to touch the fingerboard, which applies to pretty much about here. Once you start getting about this high, you don't really have to worry about that anymore. You just push as much as you can and it'll get a sound out, which is awesome. Nice. Really lovely change in dynamics. As we heard also earlier about 2 pieces ago, this instrument is very, very capable of going from, like I've continuously been complimenting this instrument on, it's going from that powerful sound, but it's capable of really dipping down into the soft whispery areas while still maintaining that very clear sound in its tone. And so whenever I go from loud to soft, the transfer is just very, very smooth, and it is capable with its dynamic range, has a very wide dynamic range. I love how clear and beautiful the double stops are on this instrument. Of course, make sure, I think the strings went a little bit out of tune, so make sure whenever you're practicing double stops, tune your strings, or else tuning is going to be a huge headache. Or even worse, if you get them in tune and find out your strings are out of tune and you retune them, then you have to learn the thing all over again, which I've experienced a few times, and it's very frustrating and funny in retrospect. But the double stops play so smoothly, it feels really nice. The bridge is set up beautifully to where I'm not like really actively searching for the double stop placement, it's just right there. And overall the play on this instrument is just, it feels very easy and smooth. So yeah, this is definitely an instrument that I would encourage you guys to come check out.
Wonderful demo, Catherine. Really full violin, dynamic. I want to say it has a triumphant low end. Just that low end was just, it almost reminded me of some triumphant march. It was just really resonant in the room. So thank you for putting it through the stress test. Did want to ask, on some of those excerpts you play, a lot of our YouTube fans are like, oh, that is beautiful. What did you play? So I'm just going to put you on the spot and see if you remember any of those.
Of course. So the first one I played was Chartis. This is the one I just zoomed up on the G string. The second one is two excerpts from the Bruch Violin Concerto first movement and third movement, with the rosin break in the middle of the first movement. And then I played Don Juan, and then I did just some random double stops.
I am thoroughly impressed with your memory, because I could not have done that. So that's why we have you, Catherine, and we love your professionalism and your just amazing demo. And we get rave reviews and loves and hearts and smiley faces from all of our fans. So thank you, fans, for making this happen, and play on, my friends.